I am Roy Collin, the host of the podcast. You can find everything about me by scanning the QR code there or going to roycollin.com. And you'll find my six podcasts, the Podfather, helping people become podcasters, the Awakening, exposing fraud and corruption, but with solutions, the Crypto, all things blockchain technology, meditation podcast, speaking podcast, and the Learn Polish podcast. You can also help the show by actually making a donation, visiting the store, or helping my sponsors. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Welcome to the Crypto Podcast. We can find all the episodes on cryptopodcast.org. So my guest, Dr. Daniel, is back because the last week we actually ran out of time and we were having a fantastic conversation. And I suppose he makes the complex simple because just the way that he actually explains everything. So that's why I love having conversations with him. So please welcome back, Daniel.
Thanks, Roy. Always a pleasure, man, chatting with you. Before the podcast is fun, but on the podcast is equally as fun. I'm excited to, download some crazy stuff in my brain, crypto stuff to your listeners, and hopefully help them, either get started on their journey or assist them already on their journey. And it doesn't really matter. We talked about this last week. If they want my support, I'm always available. They always reach out. But, regardless of accessing my support or not, my goal is always to help people along their journey and add value to whatever they're doing in crypto.
Perfect. And because there's always people coming and going, you might just give a quick description, introducing yourself, what exactly you're doing, just for those that might be.
Absolutely. I'll get right into it in case people, if this is your first time listening. Roy's had me on, I think it's the third time. I'm Dr. Daniel. I'm a dentist. I've been a dentist since 1999. So that's 25 years in the industry. I transitioned out of dentistry into coaching, consulting, and education within dentistry because I'm a natural born educator. I love doing it. And then from there, when I discovered crypto, I fell in love. It was an absolute nightmare learning how to invest in crypto on my own. And by the end of it, I decided, you know what? I want to teach it. I want to help people learn how to invest in crypto because if you think of, all the people within crypto sitting in a dome, I call it the crypto dome, and they're participating in crypto and they're making copious amounts of money. I remember when I was working as a dentist, I know how hard it is to be a practitioner, and whether you're professional or a tradesperson or whatever, I know how hard we have to work to earn our money. And we work hard and we work long hours, and then we still have to hone our craft, and we put so much time, energy, and effort. And then when I was a dentist and I heard about people who would be like, oh, I just made this much. Oh, well, I put this much money in, it went up 5, 10, whatever, X, 20, 50. I was absurd in my head. I'm like, do you know how many hours I have to be here handling major responsibility, running a team, doing high-end dentistry on clients, managing so many different pieces, the marketing to this, the consults, all the responsibility I had to carry to make money. It's no different than a lot of the clients I work with today, the amount of work they have to put in to create income. And then when you hear about people who are using their income to make multiples on it by pushing a button. And I was like, this is insane when I was a dentist. I actually, to be honest, I had heard of crypto way longer before I went into it. I just didn't believe it. It was abstract. It was this word. It meant nothing to me. However, fortunately for me, when I was doing my coaching and my education in dentistry, I took a little bit of time off. I traveled with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And, and when I had that little bit of space, I decided to dip my toes. And what I found was it was nothing short of incredible. I'd invested in the stock market prior. I had a couple W's, mostly losses, got my ass kicked, on the regular, but that's okay. It's part of like being an investor. And then when I discovered the world of investing in crypto, and by the way, if you ask 10 people how to make money in crypto, you get 50 different answers. So I take one way of making money in crypto, which is investing. And there's other ways, but the other ways take more time. They take more energy. They take, attention to a computer, or they may take years of training. There's so many different ways, but they take so much time, energy, and effort. And the way that I invest in crypto is a way that, as a busy professional, you can learn very quick in probably an hour or 2 hours. My clients invest on day 8, which is like an hour, one day, a week later, an hour, and that's it. But it's not that. It's during your investment, you're only spending 5 or 10 minutes a day in a computer, if that. Some days, not at all. So the system itself works for busy professionals. And I help people like my former self take their hard-earned money and make multiples of it investing in crypto. and it brings me joy. I love it. I enjoy it. It's what really works for me these days. And and people like you, Roy, invite me on, and I can share, some of my discoveries with with your listeners, and some of my insights with your listeners, and share my unique perspective in crypto with your listeners. So yeah, it's a fun time for me right now.
Very good. I suppose let's kind of talk on about ETFs, because I believe is it this from this year that the ETF started that, or yes?
Yes.
So you might
Yes.
explain for those that don't know what an ETF is, and then
Mhm.
do you get involved with the ETFs as well? As in, because, or do you keep it yourself and just invest yourself? Because basically, it's like an exchange that, like say Vanguard or BlackRock or something, they control it. So is it something that you get involved, or talk
I
to
talk
your?
about it in the program. The reason I talk about it in the program because the ETFs has such a massive impact on the cycles and bull run. So first of all, for your listeners, it's ironic, and I'm going to just back up a little bit. So the whole point of crypto, when 2009, when they released Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was originally released to be a substitute for fiat. Fiat is a fancy word for your currency. So whether it's the British pound, the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, whatever, the yen, the fiat is just basically fiat just represents currency. And originally in Bitcoin 2009, they thought, okay, we want to release a decentralized model of money because all money right now is centralized, right? So the concept of centralization means one government, one bank controls things, right? A decentralized means no one controls anything. But the irony of it all, 15 years later, as Bitcoin has now erupted and is almost, globally understood to be digital gold. The paradox of it all, it's now being bought up by institutions and now becoming centralized. So I find that funny. It's ironic. It does not really pertinent. I just wanted to add that because it's kind of funny. People who bought in Bitcoin when it first started are what are called crypto enthusiasts, and they're basically really believes in this decentralized model. But what allowed the value of their investment to skyrocket is because centralized companies are now buying the heck out of it, right? So let me explain. So an ETF is basically a big corporation in America that buys Bitcoin and allows the average American to buy Bitcoin through their holdings, okay, without having to engage online. So before an ETF, if somebody wanted to buy Bitcoin, they have to go online and open up what's called a centralized exchange or use a hot wallet and a decentralized exchange, move money somehow from the real world into the crypto world and buy. It's very complex or can be daunting for somebody who doesn't know much about crypto. However, when the ETF is announced and allowed, the average American can walk into the bank or whatever their institution or online and actually buy a piece of Bitcoin where they're actually own it. Now they're own it, but it's being held by the institution. So this ETF business has massively changed and affected the cycle of crypto investing. So, as some of your listeners might be familiar with, crypto runs in cycles. They talk about a 4-year cycle, and they talk, I think, about a halving. I've covered the halving before in the first podcast. It's not really important. Just understand this: investing in crypto is like investing in the stock market. It's very similar. So, if the stock market crashed and everything went down, we'd want to buy a bunch of companies that we believe in, maybe Apple, Tesla, Google, whatever, and we'd hold. And after a few years, the value goes up and we'd sell. And the difference between where we bought and where we sold is our profit. In crypto, the way I invest and teach is very similar, right? Crypto runs in cycles. So there are cycles when there's not a lot of money in crypto and all the projects are very, very low in value, similar to a stock market crash. And then what happens though, as we hit into the bull cycle, we're just starting the bull cycle now. And bull cycles can last anywhere from 6 to 18 months long. This one's projected to go for about 6 straight months to about the beginning of summer. That's what the experts tell us, but it could be all of 2025. Nobody even knows for sure, but the experts are saying we've got a good 6, 7 months now before there's a huge off. We're starting now. This is a huge rally should be starting. So we know we're coming off that crash or the bear cycle. We're getting in a bull cycle work. things go up in value. So when we invest, we buy now and it goes up and then we sell high and we make that money. And that's how we make money in crypto, by investing. So what the spot ETF did is this. It's become mass adoption. So you have a bunch of Americans and globally where these ETFs are approved, people who are buying Bitcoin. But when they buy Bitcoin, the average person who's buying Bitcoin, they're not looking to buy it at 100,000 and sell it at 102,000. They're buying it like they're buying stocks and long-term investments. So they're going to be holding Bitcoin for years to come because the projections are Bitcoin is eventually going to be worth over $1 million a Bitcoin. So that might be in 10 years, might be in 20 years, whatever, but that's what people talk about, right? In the not too distant future. In our lifetime, it's going to hit, hundreds of thousands. I don't know if it'll hit 1 million, but who knows? So when people buy it now, the mass adoption means so many people are buying Bitcoin, but they're holding it. What does that mean? That means after this bull run, right? The bear run is usually when people sell off a ton of stuff and the values go down. Well, it's unlikely for Bitcoin to drop too much because every time Bitcoin starts to drop, the institutions that sell it buy it and they're keeping the price buoyed. So it's unlikely to drop. So it's unlikely for us to see a bear season as we have in the past. And now we're starting to realize with the mass adoption of Bitcoin and the spot ETF, Bitcoin is disassociating itself from the altcoins. Now, so you understand in English, Bitcoin is the main coin, and everything other than Bitcoin is considered an altcoin, an alternative to Bitcoin. That's why they're all called altcoins. But if an altcoin gets really big, like Ethereum is technically an altcoin, but its market cap is so big, we don't call it altcoin, we call it Ethereum. It's like silver. It's like there's gold and everything other than gold. But silver is really valuable. It's not as valuable as gold, but we love silver. So there's gold and there's silver, and then there's all the other metals that aren't gold, for sure. That's kind of like that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest are all coins. Now Ethereum has a spot ETF, and now that Trump got elected in America, which is a massive, massive positive thing for crypto, and you can see it how quickly the markets responded since the November 4th to 6th election, and what's happened in the past 5 weeks is insanity in terms of how much money went into crypto and how much it's set up to blow up here in the next few months. So Ethereum has its own spot ETF. Solana will be approved probably after Trump. So will Ripple. So all these assets in crypto that are becoming spot ETFs, they're going to look more like long-term investments. They're probably not going to drop the same way because people aren't going to panic sell on dips when they're holding these things. So they're more long-term investments. So the effect of the spot ETF on crypto investing is profound. It's now disassociating these ones with the spot ETF from the rest of the market. So generally when Bitcoin moves up or down a little bit, the rest of the market's affected tremendously. Now it's not going to move up that much, or sorry, move down that much because it's being bought up by these big institutions. And then the altcoins are getting their own life. So this is a bit technical. I apologize for your listeners. The point of the matter is this could be the last and the biggest of all the bull cycles ever within crypto. And its reason is because it's unlikely to have a mass exodus of money post bull cycle from all the big ones. I still believe most of the altcoins will eventually go to zero. They'll eventually go to zero. Most of the projects are not going to be there forever. But as an investor, we want to invest in the projects that are going to do well during the bull. We want to maximize our investment and we want a dollar cost average in. We want to get multiples of our investment, doubles, triples, 5, 10x. We want a dollar cost average out. We don't want to be greedy. We never try to time the bottom, try to time the top. We always take profit. No one ever went broke taking profit. However, I have clients that invested in the previous bulls 50 to 100,000, wrote it up well over 1 million, and wrote it all the way down to about 35,000. It didn't take a penny. I wasn't with them at the time. They joined me now. And now, I yell and scream. No one ever went broke taking profits. Take profits, take profits, take profits on the way up. Don't worry, there's always market corrections, there's pullbacks, but there's so much money in crypto, but what happens is people get high on their own ether. Ripple, for example, went 5x or 6x in the past few weeks. And people, now that it went from 50 cents to whatever, 250, instead of feeling like, hey, I just managed a 5x in a month, why don't I take my initial out, take some profits out, 50% or whatever? You know what they're saying, right? oh, it's going to be $5. It's at 250, whatever. It's going to hit $10. Oh, it's going to hit $100. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. It's become, this is so normal in crypto. No matter how much a project goes up, people will hear about go and they get so scared of missing out that they hold it and then it goes down. And they're like, well, I didn't sell at 250. I'm not going to sell at 2. Then it's at 150. Well, I didn't sell at 2. I can't sell at 1. Next thing you know, it's less than what they bought it. And they sit there with their hands on their heads and they're like, I thought I was rich, or I thought I made, $5,000 or 50,000 or 500,000. And then it's gone. And that's, I mean, you must have seen this in your time in stock or in investing, I'm sure, outside of crypto.
Well, definitely. And I mean, like there was one I did, and my plan was to like 5x one. I went to 4.5, and then it just went. I got out at the same price, thankfully, of what I went in at. But it's like instead of doing that on a scale, even taking 25% when it doubled and stuff like that, and I've learned from that lesson. And I think what you've just said, people should heed that information, because the amount of people that I have heard, or even a worst case scenario, is people, they actually take out the money, they buy, the Ferrari, or they buy the Rolex and everything. And then they'll say, I'll pay my taxes with the rest when I need to. And then it just tanks, and then they don't have the money to pay the taxes. Then they have to sell their car or their house or whatever they bought, the asset they bought. And it's a fire sale that they're doing, because the minute you take something out of the showroom, that you're taking
It's
20-30% off immediately. Like,
it's really crazy too, because it's so easy to get sucked in. You say, oh, not me, not me, but I've done it. I've rode, I mean, I have to delete these memories from my head. See, the thing is, I want to remember the lesson, but I don't want the memory. The memory has a lot of pain, but that's how I learn. I'll have to learn by making mistakes. This is the thing for your listeners. Okay, if you're thinking about crypto, this is important. Okay, how crypto works is this. It's all about your entry. It's all about timing. It's all about getting in before other people. So if you look at, for instance, Solana is the darling of this meme. For your listeners, if you're not going to do anything, and you just want to invest in crypto, you're going to pick one thing to invest in. My opinion, not financial advice, do your own research, just buy Solana. That's it. Just buy Solana and wait. So right now, Solana's in the low 200s. I started talking about it when it was under $20 last summer. Okay. And they said, okay, listen, if you're with me last summer, and my clients are with me last summer, this is summer of 23, they're buying Solana, $20, $25, $30. They're buying it. So they're doing, it's going up. It's fantastic. But then I have clients who join me around the $60 or $80 mark, when Solana $60 or $80 mark. I didn't tell them not to buy it. I'm like, buy Solana at $60 or $80. Now John clients join me, it's $100. Buy Solana at $100. And then now clients are joining me now. I'm buying Solana at low 200s. Solana is targeted. I'm very conservative targets, $400 to $600 during this bull peak. This is a conservative target. I've heard talks of 800. I've heard talks of $1,000 of it hitting that. Now, with the spot ETF becoming imminent, it's likely to, possibly do more if the market responds favorably to the spot ETF. Regardless, it's a $400 to $600 play during the bull. It's at $200. So you got into crypto when it was 20. By the time it hits 4 or 5, 600, you're up 20, 30x. You got in crypto when it was 50, you're up 8 to 10x. You get there when it's 100, you're up 4 to 6x. You're going to get there when it's 200, you're up 3x. Now, you get there when it's 4, 5, 600, and you start buying then, boy, what happened to those people? We call them retail. Retail are the last ones to the party. And retail gets screwed every cycle, because they're buying it at the top, thinking it's going to keep going up. Look, it went up from 20. It's not the straight, it's going to be amazing. They buy. And the rest of us are selling when they're buying, and they get left. We call them the bag holders as it goes down. And for every dollar that's made in crypto, and it's not dollars, people are making thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions. But overall, billions of dollars are being made. But all the billions of dollars being made means billions of dollars being lost. And the people that lose the money are the last ones to the party, that come in at the end, that FOMO in, fear of missing out, that don't understand what they're doing. They're buying it, thinking it's going to keep going, and then it starts to drop, and they're left holding the bags to the next cycle, right? So it's really important, as an investor, if you're going to invest, take the time to educate yourself. Consult with me. I am the leading educator in crypto field. I do live education. I just had a program yesterday. I just started with 4 people. I do very small programs, very high one-on-one stuff and one-on small groups. It's all live. It's not canned. And I do a ton of support. But whether it's me or anybody else, go get educated, get prepared, be smart, be strategic, and you can do incredibly well. If you're going to go about it on your own, fine. Just understand that when you become last to the party, you're the one that loses the most, right? And just be careful. So if you're going to take one thing away, I would say go, if you're going to invest by yourself, Solana to me is the safest bet. It's one of the biggest, like the market caps. It's not the biggest, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple are bigger, but I think it's the fourth or fifth, right? It's a good sized market cap, which means it's lower risk in a high risk industry, but still it's a darling in the meme and likely to perform very well in the next 3 to 6 months. And it's a very simple, easy play that you can manage on your own. And that would be my opinion, not financial advice. Always do your own research. I'm more of an educator. I don't give financial advice, but I do share my knowledge with people, hopefully for their benefit.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And just quickly, just going back on the ETFs, because like say with pension funds, like you're in a certain fund and you don't really know what you're getting. They're just creaming their margins off it. When it's an ETF, are you able to see exactly what you're buying and they're taking a certain margin because obviously they're doing the transaction, whatever that's agreed in. Are you able to see it? And the follow-up to that is, are they doing a combination as well, like a pool of different ones now that there's more becoming ETFs like the, Ethereum and stuff like that?
That's a great question. I'm not intimately familiar with the ETFs that have been passed in America. I think one was passed. I'm Canadian. There's one I remember hearing, but Canada's such a small crypto market. We're insignificant. So when they don't really make a deal if there's a spot ETF. So I am unfamiliar with the actual process of investing through an ETF. My understanding is, when they invest through an ETF, they're buying, that ETF represents actual real Bitcoin. So that whatever they buy is held for the consumer by, for instance, BlackRock. So when the value goes up, they benefit. It goes down, obviously it goes down. But how the inner workings work, what they're doing with pools and stuff, there will be for sure. I don't really know the status of affairs now. I just know the impact is massive for an ETF. It allows average Americans to hold, crypto when otherwise they never would hold, and they do it securely through a financial institution. And because they do it and they're investing, they're not really, the majority of them aren't day trading and they're not looking for small bits and bumps. They're buying and they're holding for the future, which is traditionally, you don't see that a lot in crypto. You saw that in Bitcoin over time when Bitcoin evolved and people realized it's digital gold. But most crypto people are just buying, and whether they're day trading and leverage trading or if they're doing bull run investing like I teach, we're in and we're out. So the impact of people buying these assets and wanting to hold them for generations to come is changing. The flavor is going to change the input of money, who's investing, and the money staying in the crypto industry. So it's really it's an all new world now. If anybody ever tells your listeners, Roy, and me, if anyone ever says they know what's going to happen, they're completely full of shit. Sorry for saying it on the thing. If you look at influencers, 95% of influencers don't know what they're talking about. 95% of people fall on TikTok. People are taking investment advice from teenagers on TikTok or old people on TikTok and Instagram or whatever, and they're blindly following people. Probably more than 95% don't have a clue what they're talking about. They're incentivized by companies to pump or shill. Shill is what they say in crypto when you promote a project, to shill projects. And 95% of them have never vetted the project. They just want the project to go up because they sell and people lose a ton of money. It's just like there's so few people in the field that actually are legitimate, that care about projects and that actually vet things. And the beauty thing about me, Roy, and I'm not here to pump my tires, and I apologize. I know in the other podcast I didn't talk much about myself, and he said, "Don't worry about it, talk a little bit." Is I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball, not a prodigy. None of that. I just consume a ridiculous amount of information daily, and I follow the right thought leaders in the space, and I take a consensus of what all the great minds are saying. And when they agree on a few things, I take that consensus and I give it to my clients. So my beliefs and my thoughts are just a summary of what the greatest minds in the field think. I'm just a vessel to deliver that to my clients. It's not me sitting there going, "Oh, this is what I think, what I believe." No, this is a consensus of the greatest minds in crypto, and that's why most of the stuff that I teach and work with has been so successful because I follow the right people, and it's hard sifting through the right and the wrong, but there are some very good people in the space, and the space, a majority of them aren't. And there's scammers and there's people out there to rob you and steal from you. And crypto's gotten a bad rap, but rightfully so, because anywhere there's a tremendous amount of money, it attracts bad people. I think we talked about this last week, like Vegas. When Vegas started in the 70s and gambling and this in the 80s, it was all fun. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, there's a lot of money there. Then all the crime families and all the mob people just all move there. And then wherever there's money, there's bad people. And there's a ton of money in crypto. So, investors beware. Don't ever, we talked about this last week. If you give your money to someone else to invest, you might as well kiss it goodbye because you're never going to see it again. If somebody was successfully trading and investing crypto, it would make no sense that the whole world wasn't working with them. They wouldn't be asking you for your money. They would be so blown away if they had a positive track record. There would be lineups down the street of people begging to work with them. You wouldn't have to just discover them by accident or accidentally fall into the special group or get a special message or an email of this guru that no one knows about that's going to double or triple you. It's all scams. I have YouTube videos, long form 10-15 minute videos on how to get robbed in crypto, multiple ones. Example after example after example after example of different ruses and techniques and scams that they do. It's very elaborate. And I don't want to say this to scare your listeners, but it's just like, guys, like if you work for your money and you give your money to somebody you've never, it doesn't matter if you met them. If they say they're going to invest for you, bad idea. Take 2 hours. That's all it takes. 2 hours. 2 hours. Learn how to do it yourself. And then you will always control your funds. You never have to risk somebody else making a bad move or just leaving and taking all your funds. And I have clients. Sorry, I do consults with people. I've had consults because some of them couldn't afford to be my clients. It's very sad. Actually, it makes me sad, right? And I'm actually a little bit emotional about this. But I'm not talking 500 or $1,000, 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, 400,000. They take advantage of people. They have these schemes are not simple. They're elaborate. Don't think you won't fall for them. Oh, it never happened to me. No, no, they are first class, elaborate scams designed to target people like me, like Roy, and all you guys that are listening. They're designed. They know these people spend more time creating ruses to get us than we could ever imagine. It's insanity. And I'm talking people get every day hundreds of thousands of dollars. People they're just giving money away because they think they're doubling, and you give them 5 grand, they show you it's 50. Then you're like putting another 5 grand in, now it's like 200. Then you throw 50 grand in, now you've got $1 million. Like, okay, I want to buy my car. Can I get my $100,000 out? They're like, of course, no problem. Just send us $3,000 for the withdrawal fee. You're like, well, no, just withdraw for my proceeds. No, that doesn't work. And you're like, well, I just gave them 58,000 and there's $1 million there. I'll just give them another 3,000. You give them another 3,000. Where's my money? Oh, we had a hiccup. It's actually going to be another 2,000 on top of that. Sorry, it was just a processing error. Then what do? Do you not give them? You give them the 2,000. Where's my money? And then there's something, they never leave. They'll never leave you. They'll just keep milking, milking and milking and milking until you realize your money is gone forever. And then you got to go through whatever the FBI, big people, or the Canadian system, which, your money's gone and it's gone. And it's sad. And I've heard this so many times. I don't mean to take up our space with this type of stuff, but this is, it's important because people lose significant amounts of money to the stuff, and it actually breaks my heart. There are people who can't afford to work with me, who could afford to work with me, who can't afford to work with me anymore because they have nothing left to invest because they got cleaned out. It's very hard, but it's a reality, Roy. It's a reality of life and
But
life in
it
crypto.
has to be discussed. And it was kind of my main reason with creating this show, because I have The Awakening, which is exposing fraud and corruption, and I didn't want to have the crypto included in it because not everyone's into blockchain technology, but I also wanted the positive stuff as well. But you have to know, because there's so many scams. So, for example, I got caught. There's multi-level marketing. There's two companies out there, and people that I know that have they got a very good return, and they were bringing in people and done it. And I mean, they were showing me, and I know them. I've seen their figures, so I know it's not. But it was set up in Mexico. It was never done in America, because obviously they'd be under some sort of regulation. It was going for a few years. There was like thousands of people going to events, and then all of a sudden, oh, the main guy's gone. Everything's gone. And that's happened with two different companies. Smart was one, and Billions Trade Club. And I think they're changing over now to property and stuff like that. But it's like, it was like, but I said it. I mean, I said it to people. I said, I'm putting this in because I know this is like a pyramid. There's no way this can last. Like, because the returns were like very good. And it was, it was like 8% a month and stuff like that. And it was like, nah, this can't be right. Like, and I just put it in thinking this will probably go. But if it doesn't, I'm taking my money out at the end of the year and before the end of the year. But I know it was going for a good few years, like before that. But just people know they're told, put in 22 grand, it'll be worth 100,000 in a year, and they're doing it. And then it's like, oh, you need time to get it out. And it's like, you won't put in 22 and get guaranteed 100. Nobody can do that. Like, I've got traders that have worked in they're multi-millionaires, and they were like, there's no way you can guarantee that. Like, you can't do that. So people are falling for that. And like, when you're talking about the TikTok, and it's not just TikTok, there's different people that are creating videos on different channels, whether it's YouTube. But what they can do is they can say, Bitcoin's going to go up to 500,000. And in another video, they can go, Bitcoin's going to drop to 20 grand. When something happens in the market, they delete it, and then they're able to go a year later, I knew exactly what was happening. You should invest with me. It's simple to do that. I could do that. Two of us could do that now. We can say two different things and delete one, and that's going on. Yeah. And I suppose
I totally did not even think of that. That's insane. That's crazy. So what you're referring to is a Ponzi scheme. I got caught up in one as well with my best friends, and they were investing in the thing about a Ponzi scheme for your listeners. It's very simple to do. These people that run it, the people that first jump on, they're making tons of money. They are making 8 to 10% a month on their investment, and they get their friends, they get their families, and then it just explodes. And these things can run a year, 2 years, 3 years, because by the time they get to a peak, listen, the first people on board, first 10, 20, 50 people, they're probably making hundreds of thousands, right? But they bring everybody in the world who brings everybody in the world, everywhere. And once they hit a peak, whatever their goal is, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, the people at the top, once they hit that, we have that much money. And remember, they're paying the first person with your money. They're paying you with the next person's money. So they're paying you with your best friend, with your parents, with your cousin's money. And because you bring all these other people, then they pay them with the people they bring. So they're never paying. But the people who are making money in the beginning, they're making it from all the later comers. But once they hit that critical mass, could be 10 million, 50 million, they just zip, take it out. And of course, the last people to the party are the ones that lose the most. The first people to the party, most of the first people who to the party double down, by the way. They put in 10 grand, it's 50 grand, then they put in the 50. They keep doubling out.
they never take it out. That, like, I know people, they've done that. They said, no, this is too good to take out. And they don't do what you had mentioned earlier, take out the profit as you go along. Because if they'd done that, at least they're not correct.
We should look at crypto like a Ponzi scheme. We should look at it like there is no guarantee any of these projects are going to, if you have the owners get in a fight, if you have this, if you have, some FUD, if you have a black swan event, the value could drop 80, 90%. So we should look at crypto the same way. It's like, hey, you're up. I tell my clients, when you're up 3 or 4 or 5x, take at least your initial out. Take at least your initial out, right? Like, what are you waiting for? To get 50x? Oh, okay, what if it goes down to 0? But take money on the way on. We should actually, I'm gonna incorporate that next week. Part of my program talks a lot about the psychology of selling, and that's in the second session. And I'm gonna incorporate that. The whole Ponzi scheme is just because that's a very good way of looking at it. Because people don't get scared. I kind of have to scare people to sell. It's really weird. I have to scare you to take money. Like, what? Yeah. Yeah. Because when you've tripled your money and you're thinking about that, I'm like, you have to take money out, protect yourself, because there's no guarantees, right? Anyways, it's such a good thing talking to you, Roy, because you bring so much brings such a healthy perspective and a global perspective to things. And it's just nice to chat about this. And you know what? And somebody needs to talk about the dark side of crypto. And I'm happy to, because I have nothing. I have 100% transparent. I've been scammed. I lost a hot wallet, which is, don't worry about hot wallets. You can invest without getting into that level of sophistication. And it was a very elaborate ruse. And people are like, how much did you lose? Was it a lot of money? It's like, the contents I had in the wallet were a substantial amount of money. That's not what the problem was. The problem was it's what they would be worth now. Because when they got me, right, it was a good amount of money at the bear cycle. So they got me. I didn't understand security. I didn't have the right systems in place. I was all learning. And I fell for a very classic, elaborate, full on, help center, fake website, fake help desk, thousands of members. It was insane. And I fell for this whole elaborate scheme. They drained my wallet. The value of the contents of the wall today, astronomical, more than six figures. What do you do? But that's part of learning, and that's part of learning on your own. And part of my journey is, unfortunately, in life, Roy, I have to make mistakes. My dad says I'm thick-headed. I probably agree. If I don't make the mistake, I can't learn. I need to learn my lessons, and that's how they're learned. Some people, good for you, can take my program and learn from my mistakes, or look at other people, learn from their mistakes. I've never been able to learn it. I always have to go through it myself for some reason, but it's the betterment of the people I work with, and that's my journey. But yes, it's vicious, right? And the dark side of crypto, and that's just a bit of it. You take these influencers who are posting on Twitter, the good ones, the ones who literally say, hey, I discovered this project, it's going to do good, and it goes up 30, 40, 50% in a day. You've got people who have their exact Twitter look like Twitter, but they change a dot, they change some little indiscriminate thing, and they're posting look-alike posts with the same project and a different contract address. So it's very hard to understand, but it's the same. It looks exactly like the legitimate one on the same project. So you can make two projects in crypto. If you have a project and you call it whatever, ABC. I can make one called ABC. And the only difference between them is behind the scenes, it's called a contract address, which you would never know if you're new to crypto. So I'm buying ABC. Well, there's two ABCs.
You know what it's
Here's the
actually
legitimate one.
like? It's like now on the parking meters with the QR code, people are actually putting their own QR code, and you go in and you're paying the transfer to pay the money, but it's actually, and they're getting your credit card details, and they take as much. It's very similar to that. It's like the same.
Oh,
Yeah, they're doing that case. Yeah, so when you scan to put in so they're saying never scan, type in the website for it. So even in shops, there's people getting caught. And when you have a shop with a QR code, they're just sticking their own one on, and people just assume because I'm in a certain shop that I would be familiar with. But so that just shows the level, and that's kind of the similar thing, because you actually think you're here and you're safe, but you're actually not.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
These criminals, they spend day and night. They're not stupid people. Day and night trying to figure out ways to get our hard-earned money. And they get us in ways you would never think. So online, there's a protocol for opening up for finding websites in crypto. You never type it in. Why? Because they have any mistake you make, there's a variation with a fake site there. So Mark Cuban, earlier in 24, or was it 23 or 24? I think 24. He was just doing some work on his phone and decided to log into whatever site he wanted to get one of his wallets, and he got into a fake site. They sucked his credentials, went into his wallet, emptied it of 870,000 US in a matter of minutes. And afterwards, he was like, oh, good thing they got that one and not the other one, which had more in it. 870 grand like this. And what would they be worth today? This was earlier this year, before the piss pump, probably worth millions. And they get away with it. And this is happening. They think we cannot outsmart them. We have to stick to safety protocols. But the problem in crypto is you don't even know, you're unaware. It's like me walking into a shop in the UK. I would never, or to a public parking, I would never be suspicious to take a photo of the barcode. It would never even occur to me not to. Like, what? That's the last thing I think about. I'm traveling, I'm in the UK, I'm in a store. Yes, of course I'm parking a vehicle. Of course they're going to scan the barcode. Why wouldn't you? Anyways, it's just, but it's everywhere. It's rampant and it's getting worse. We can sidestep and talk about AI if you want.
I want to go into that, and I want to type not just AI, but I want to talk about kind of the utilities and why some are good. But I don't know, did we actually touch on the Hawk 2 scam that was actually done? Okay, so I think that's right about the Zill because that's only recent. And
I was reading about that today.
yeah, but like the CoffeeZilla was basically like online as they were doing it and kind of called them out. I don't know, did you see that video? But she was
No.
kind of narky going, what are you doing or whatever. Without, you could tell she hadn't a clue about crypto. She was brought in into this. And then he fucking put it out on the table, like exactly how it was. And what he was saying was perfect. But it just shows the same thing. They creamed it. And so many people, because they believed in how she became famous because of just saying something, but she jumped on the bandwagon, created a podcast and everything, which is all good. She got fame for something, but that doesn't mean that she should be scamming people. Did she know, or was she brought into it? That's hard to tell. It's unknown. I mean, just by listening, it sounds to me she didn't understand the thing. But if she took one penny from it, she scammed people.
Yeah. See, the thing is, when you talk about celebrity influencers, you got to think what that means. Celebrity influencers. So, does a celebrity vet and intimately understand the thing that they're promoting? I don't know. I have no idea, right? The meme I saw was, hey, if you invested in a meme or in a whatever, in an asset that a girl who got famous for hawk chewing on a wiener promotes, maybe just maybe, maybe just maybe, but this is the thing too, Roy. We got to separate memes from investing, and they're totally different. Now, the problem is this bull run cycle has been very mean. There's been a huge meme sort of, memes are generally, if you look at how bull cycles work, they usually go large cap, like Bitcoin, goes up, sells off, then they rotate a capital from large cap to medium cap to small cap to micro cap, then NFTs and then the memes. And that's generally the rotation of capital downhill. And these are usually the last things to pump during a cycle, right? And this cycle, memes have evolved earlier. They're popping here, they're popping there. There's going to be a resurgence probably in the new year. But all a meme is, it's just a game of chicken. Like, not all memes. So there's different categories of memes. But the point of the matter is, I don't even like talking about memes because as a strategic investor, why we're rolling the dice with these things, trying to get some sort of ridiculous whatever, when we can safely, quote unquote, safely, we have a consensus of experts in the field are telling us this long list of projects. I have a golden list. So I have a golden list I work with my clients with. And my golden list is the consensus of the top minds in the field, what they all agree on. There's a similar projects within crypto that they all believe are going to do extremely well during the bull. So this golden list is not financial advice, DYO. It's what I invest in, share with my clients so they have starting point of projects they can evaluate. It's like us going to the stock market and no one ever heard about the stock market. And I say, hey, I've got the short list: Apple, Tesla, Google, Samsung, Meta, NVIDIA, right? So I've got this Microsoft, this top 10 list of projects in stocks that, are traditionally do really well. Now the stock market crashes are undervalued, but we believe when the stock market recovers, they're going to go up. I've created the same curated list in crypto. So when we have that list and people who are investing with me are on the regular doubling, every since the summer. In the past month, the whole portfolio has went up 2 to 3x, every asset in there. It's a high performing portfolio that's going to do incredibly well during the bull. Why do we even mess with the memes? Why should we go into a high risk? Like, it's just, those things are for the 80. I read a stat, 80 to 90% of people in memes don't make any money. They lose money. So for me, it's like, if you go to the casino and you want to throw, $100 on a roulette wheel, pick one number, good luck. But I'm going to go probably play, Hold'em or Omaha. I'm going to play something that's a little bit slower, have much more control, and I feel the odds are much more in my favor. And that's how I approach investing in crypto is, and that's what I tell people. It's like, why are we over here in the 1 in a million lottery? I play the lottery. I'll be honest, I play the lottery. I've been playing since 36 years. I've been playing the same numbers. In Canada, it's called Lotto 649. We have 2 draws a week. 36 years I've been playing the same. I don't ever expect to win, but I'll play to the day I die. I will always play these numbers to the day I die, and I don't ever expect to win. But, there's a difference between when I play the lottery and the few dollars in there and I invest. So we get into crypto. If people want to go play the lottery, go do what you want. Play the lottery in crypto, out of crypto. But I'm looking to invest. I'm working with professionals who work really hard for their money. They're not trust fund kids who, can throw away $1 million and don't care. These people, they've accumulated some wealth in their life that they want to create a multiple of, and they care a lot about their money, and I care about their success. So we're going to work with sets and projects that are vetted, that we believe are going to do well, that have already performed incredibly well with lots of X's in the tank. We're not going to go to the roulette wheel and throw $100 on, double O or on 7 red. And yes, I do play roulette, obviously, or 11 black and hope for the best. Sure, you can, but please don't make that your entire investing strategy. That's just my opinion. Do what you want. This isn't my handle advice, but that's just how my philosophy of working with people and approaching things. I don't know, Roy. What do you think? Am I crazy over here?
Just going back to the lottery. I rarely play no, but my grandmother years ago bought me and my brother a ticket, and it was in Ireland. They won it like 6 was the top one. We got 5, but it was the worst payout ever. It was something like €750 or something. Because sometimes that can be like 100,000. So we just split it 3 ways, like, and it was like, but yeah. So sometimes you think, oh yeah, it's
one number away from being rich. One number away from being rich.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the lottery's the lottery, and there's nothing wrong with the lottery. But and this isn't lottery, right? It can be crypto. Listen, you want to get into crypto and get into memes? Go, it's your money. You choose to do what you want with it, right? But strategic investing, intelligent investing, I don't know. It's just because the memes get such a sexy thing. But you got to remember how many rug pulls. Sorry, rug pulls for your listeners means projects that are set up to steal money from you, like this Hawk 2 grill or whatever. They're just set up from the start. The owners know what they're gonna do. They're gonna hype it. They're gonna promote it. They're gonna try to get celebrity or all these fake influencers to pump the heck out of it. And once retail decides, oh, I think it's gonna go good, they put a bunch of money, it goes up. They sell everything. People see it cascade, they panic sell, it goes to zero. Done. And it's a lot of the memes are that way. And I don't want to talk about memes anymore. And there are some good memes. And there are some good memes that are going to have intrinsic value. They don't have external value. The projects themselves are unprofitable, but they've been accepted as a community. You look at Pepe, you look at Wi-Fi, you look at there's a few others. I'm not a big meme one. There's a top.
Would that be classed as a meme? The Bored Ape.
Bored Ape, yeah, no, that's an NFT.
That'd be
right. Then there's forget for you don't need that. But then there's the Doge, Elon Musk's. You pop out. So there's
the thing is with them, there's no like they're not being used
there's
for
no
anything.
intrinsic value. Sorry, there's
Like
no
some are like working on AI and someone gaming, and then I look at what projects they're connected with. So then you go, okay, this is going to grow because it's involved in a lot of things, whereas the meme coins aren't really, unless some of them.
No, the meme coins. So let's just explain what a meme coin is. A meme coin is supposed to be a community. So it's a community of people who say, this resonates with me. It's cool. I see this dog. I love Elon Musk. It's this thing. This resonates with me. And because, when a meme coin makes it into and creates a large community, it now has intrinsic, I don't know what the word is, intrinsic value. No extrinsic value. It's not a project that's developing anything. It's not creating income. It's not doing anything other than creating a community of people who want to be involved in it. And then they will buy it and it will grow. I mean, you get into Doge, the 40 cents now, it should probably hit $1 during the bull. And it's now can be considered a pragmatic investment. I still don't include it, but I've debated looking at the top names and being like, it could be considered a strategic investment because they have such a huge foundation and they have such a huge community that during the bull they will do well. And these are very rare. This is the 0.0000001% of memes that are actually have a real community that believe in it and that want it will sustain it. 99.9999999% of them are different. Some of them try to be that way. They try to build a community, but they don't get there. Others are a game of chicken. Let me explain a game of chicken. It's like, hey, we're going to launch this meme. You buy it at 5 cents. I buy it at 8 cents. He buys it at 10 cents. He buys it at 15. And it's going up, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. We all buying in at different levels. And the thing is, when do people start to sell? No one knows. Are they going to sell at 15 cents, at 20, at 30, it's going to go up. And then someone's going to do a big sell. Big holder says enough's enough. I've made enough money. They're going to sell. And as soon as the first big sell goes, people go, holy shit, it's going on. It's done. Then they sell. Then they sell. They sell. So it goes up, 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 up. And it's down to zero. So the question is the game of chicken. When are you going to jump in and when are you going to jump out? It's like, remember chicken with the cars? You drive at each other, the last one to turn. I don't really get the concept. I think they're both not chicken to do it, but whatever. But it's the game of chicken. It's like you buy in at 5 cents right now, it's at 30 cents. What do you do? Well, you should have at 10 cents taken out your initial and keep a moon bag, but forget strategy because now it's at 30 cents. I just saw it climb in the last hour 300%. So do I buy at 30? Sure. Now it's up to 50. Right. And it's going, going, going. And people are just like, I'm not sure. It's a game of chicken. And as soon as the first person sells, boom, zero. You can't sell fast enough. You're trying to sell, it won't take it. I'm selling at 40, now it's 30. You sell at 30, now it's 20. And then it's all gone. So it's a game of chicken. I don't like chicken. The people I work with, they're not looking at their computers to be like, I want to be in and out at that last second. And there's so much better ways to make money. So much better ways to make money.
Say the Dogecoin, like with Musk kick raising that. Like, are you able to see how much he has and what he's released and how much he makes? Does he get a commission on the transaction or does that go to the miners? How is it actually? Does he get another 50 billion because he just decided to create this and because he's got massive influence? He just decides, hey, I'm quids in
Great
there.
questions. So with every at somewhere online there will be documentation of how much I think in the beginning the developers of that meme coin held. I don't know those details. I know that if you go to coin.com, you can look at Doge and you can get details of all the coins that are released and the value. And people on the blockchain, it's very transparent. So if you know what wallets, you can see who are the biggest holders of. You can see the wallet addresses of the biggest holders of these things. So you can see a lot of information now. Can you connect the person to a wallet address? People have done a lot of detective work and they can say it's likely this wallet address belongs to Elon Musk and it's likely he could have this many shares. I don't think he cares a shit. His stock just broke $400 yesterday or 2 days ago. He's become, I think, the richest, well, quote unquote, one of the richest men on earth. Tesla stock broke $400. It was 180 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. Yes, it was $180 a month and a half ago pre-election. It was 180, 190. It's over $400, which is in crypto is like, oh, that's no big deal. And the stock market is massive and his net worth is astronomical. So I don't know how much he really cares. He can drive it up with a flash of with one tweet, he tweets it and people go nuts. But, to answer your question, I'm sure people can make assumptions about what he holds. He might even declare it. I'm not sure, but I never go into that much detail. I just don't. The concept of memes turn me off. However, as an educator in the field, I have to be mindful of them. I have to understand them and I have to have a better perception of them. It's just my own bias. Doesn't matter. I'm not here to present my bias. I'm here to present as, objectively, are they a good investment vehicle? And some of them can be I'm coming back to Doge. I believe from what the experts tell me, it's going to 2.5x from here, but it's a meme. Right? It couldn't do more for sure. I just choose not to use that as an investment vehicle for my personal investments. But a lot of the whale groups I'm in, and a whale group are people, for your listeners, who invest copious amounts of money, make me and Roy look like, we're, these people are throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars into a project, into other projects. So they're throwing massive amounts. And a lot of them believe they're throwing big monies into some of the top 5 to 10 memes right now. And they believe they're going to push real hard in the new year at some point, right? So that's great. It's good news. I believe when it comes to crypto, there's opportunity around every corner. Don't FOMO in and don't try to play every asset. Be strategic, limit the amount of assets you're in, and pick the ones you believe in that have some a proven track record that are believed to do well, and then manage yourself accordingly, right? Less is more, and you can do really well with less. And it's less of a headache as a busy professional. I mean, unless you're going to quit your daytime job and do this full time, that's a different story. But if you just want to spend 10, 15 minutes a day and make multiples of your money, then don't buy the headaches. Personally, of getting into like very, risky or high risk stuff. I'm not saying these memes are high risk. I'm just saying, there's other stuff that we believe are going to, more assuredly give us these returns. And listen, who knows? We could be talking in the new year and Doge could have went up 40x. No one knows. That's the beauty of it. And that's exciting too.
Yeah, yeah. And just finally, right? Because with the
Please.
projects, when you're looking at the different projects, are you looking at what they're connected to? Because like I see with AI, you mentioned AI earlier, but I think you were more about maybe scamming that they can be used for
Yeah.
that. But like if something is connected to an AI or gaming project that and investigating the team behind the project and that like because I know some people what they do is they look at the developers behind the crypto and they know by the increase in that they're going these guys know what they're doing, whereas there's other ones people think they're good but they've just quartered their staff and you go to something going on bad here. Do you look at things like that?
Okay. Yes and no. I'll tell you. So in the beginning, I attempted to. I did not have the resources or the depth of expertise to do that. So as I've traveled through my own personal journey in crypto, learning how to identify the right people in the space. So the reason I follow the best thought leaders and the best influencers in the space is this. When these projects approach these influencers, and most of them do need a KOL or an influencer, they want to associate with themselves with somebody to promote their project because there's so much competition, right? These influencers, the right ones, do an extremely detailed vetting project. So I'm connected to some people within the field that vet these companies stringently, the developers, the people behind it, the whole story. So by the time it gets to a yes from them, it's been vetted. Then I get to the same project being vetted independently by another person who is reputable. And by the time I get a consensus of 3 or 4 individual people who are all vetting these things and they're all saying the same thing, I now feel comfortable. It's a viable project. So I don't directly vet projects. I don't have that level of expertise or resources or even connections to call up developers in the industry. But the people I work with directly or indirectly have vetted these things, which is where they make it into my list. So my list is only projects that have already been highly vetted by reliable people in the field. It's too hard for me to do on my own, but that's my system. People in the beginning and even now will still do their own research and they will get in deep. They will dig in deep and I applaud them for it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great to go in that level of detail. I just doesn't fit into my world, right? So I work through other people that I trust that have a proven track record of integrity that have vetted these things in detail. And then when they do, they do. Let me leave your listeners with some good stuff too. AI is, when it comes to crypto, it's really about narratives. And narratives are these categories. So AI is a narrative, gaming is a narrative, real world assets is a narrative, layer one of the narrative, security is a narrative, gambling is a narrative. These are all sort of like categories that there are projects in crypto. So crypto is really about narratives. And when a narrative gets popular, basically people pour money into the top projects in that narrative and they go up really high. And then when people make a ton of money, they sell. And then they look at the next narrative and then it catches fire and money goes in there and it goes up high. And it's a rotation, not just from large caps, small caps. It's also a rotation from narrative to narrative to narrative. AI has done incredibly well. There are plays that people have 80 to 90x in AI plays from calls that I had last summer, right? So there are some incredible plays in that. It's pumped really well. But I believe AI will be a very strong narrative coming this fall. However, gaming, the experts, when I say I believe it represents the consensus of the experts, that gaming will give us the craziest returns during this bull. So I'm heavily invested in gaming projects. I like the thought of gaming. There's an event. Um, we can see how this works out in February, but there's an event in January. There's a company it's called Gunzilla, and they're releasing their games called Off the Grid. It's already released, but they're going to tokenize it with their token. And this is a very fancy talk to everybody who's listening to say there's an event in January that should buoy the whole gaming narrative, which means a lot of the projects in gaming should have a big pump coming sometime in January. Now, this project's been delayed intentionally. They're not behind. Like, everything is done. They're just waiting for the proper time in the market to do the release to create the most amount of, the most amount of return for all their investors. So it's not like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, they're behind. No, they know exactly what they're doing. They're timing the market, and it's going to create, should create a likely good catalyst for the gaming narrative. But for me, I like the gaming narrative. I like the AI narrative. Sorry, Roy, was that what you were talking about? Like the
No,
AI narratives?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So AI in crypto is huge, but these projects, we have to understand they're investment vehicles. Don't fall in love with them. We're here to take the best ones that should grow up in value. Sometimes the best projects aren't the best marketed projects. The best marketed projects likely outperform the best projects. It's the same thing in life. If you go to buy, the shoes, it is unlikely the best shoemaker in the world is selling the most shoes, because the best shoemaker in the world is worried about making the shoes. The best shoe marketer in the world is marketing their shoes. And sometimes the best shoe marketer in the world will sell more shoes that aren't as good as the best shoemaker, right? So we have these projects that are first class projects, but they're not being managed properly. And that's too bad for them. Even though I might like the project more, believe in it, it might be a more viable project to make it down the road. As an investor, I want the one that's going to give me the best returns. And it's really going to be about the ones that are represented properly, that are having the right influencers support them, that have good marketing in place to drive up their value. So we got to understand, we invest in crypto, we're investing for the bull run. We invest now, likely we're going to be out if everything goes start to finish by next summer. And we're going to take, I'll have, my high percentage completely offline by then. I mean, who knows what happens, opportunities are there, but I'm not, looking 10 years down the road. I'm in, I want to make multiples, and I'm out. And then I'll figure out what's next there if there's more opportunities based on how things are changing, in the industry, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. We don't fall in love. We want to get in, we want things to rock and roll, and we want to make money, and we want to, put that money in our pockets and go like real money in our pockets. My whole program is teaching people, listen, this is your money in your account. You're going to move, I'll show you how to move it online. You're going to move it online. You're going to buy some stuff. It's going to go way up in value. Now you have to sell and then move it back in your bank account and go spend it on yourself. So there's a cycle here. I'm not just in it to get you in and be like, oh yeah, whatever. Oh, tell me next year how you didn't make any money because you never know. I am there the whole way. Get in, invest, grow. Now sell, for the love of God, sell. Take the money out and go spend it on yourself. You earned it, right? Like, you earned it. You made 50,000, you made 100,000, you made more. Good for you. Go enjoy it, right? And that piece is missing. I mean, that's just not prominent. You don't see that much. You just see people helping people get in, and it's hard. Like, most of my clients have taken other programs, but the programs, they don't meet them where they're at. They're talking in language they don't understand. They're making assumptions that the client's trying to fill in on their own gap. I start at zero. I assume you know nothing. I don't make any assumption that you know anything, and I make sure you have the complete foundation from start leading into it to be successful. Because I mean, I love people doing well, Roy. You know that. I want people to be happy. I want them to do well, and it makes me happy seeing people, seeing people do well.
Excellent. And just one final question, because this year I forget, somebody had mentioned, but that there's a cold wallet specific for Bitcoin, and I wasn't aware of that. And I'm just wondering, is there other ones that are specific to, say, Ethereum, or different ones? Like, I presume that's a lot more safe than having a wallet with, 50 crypto coins on it.
Right. That's great. So let's talk about two things, and then I'll talk about cold wallets. So we have to explain to our listeners what the heck you mean by a wallet. Can I do that? So in
Absolutely.
crypto, when you go to invest, there's something called a centralized exchange, and a centralized exchange is a crypto bank account. So in Canada, if I want to buy a stock, I open up a bank account. Then on the bank account, I can use my money to buy a stock. It's very simple. And then I own the stock through my bank account. Very simple. In crypto, it's the same thing. If you want to buy crypto, you open up a crypto bank account. It's called a centralized exchange. You move your money there, you buy crypto. That centralized exchange can hold it for you. People sometimes worry about centralized exchanges because they've went down in the past. And when a centralized exchange goes down, it can take all your money with you. So they want to store it off the centralized exchange. Where do you store it? Well, you can store it in what's called a hot wallet. And a hot wallet is like it's an online wallet, just like the wallet you have in your back of your pants, in your pocket, or in your purse, right? Your wallet you open up, you have money in it. You have a virtual wallet online, and you can move money from the centralized exchange onto the virtual wallet. Now, virtual wallets are relatively safe if you know what you're doing. You know how the protocols are. They're relatively safe. However, there's a next level up. The next level up is what's called a cold wallet. And a cold wallet is even more safe. It is the ultimate in safeness. And there's many different types. I use a ledger. The two most commons are ledgers and trezors, right? And they look like a USB key or like a mini phone, depending on the version you get them. You plug them in your computer, and you can send. Sorry, you don't even have to plug in your computer. Sorry, these cold wallets. You basically set them up, and they have an address, and then you send. If you bought Bitcoin on your crypto bank account, to send by exchange to your cold wallet, and now the crypto is stored there. Now these are impenetrable. When when used correctly, they're impenetrable. They've got so much security, nobody can ever get to them. So that's why people will do. Is that answering your question? The two main cold wallets, Ledger and Trezor, and they can hold different. You don't have to have a specific Bitcoin cold wallet, because this can hold Bitcoin, it can hold Ethereum, it can hold Solana, it can hold basically almost all the assets on your cold wallet. And these cold wallets, this is the beauty. They come with this recovery phrase, this 24-word recovery phrase, which you will never, ever type. You will never leave a virtual blueprint of your. People type it in and print it. And I'm like,
Or even take
put
a
it on
picture of it.
oh, no, no, no. There's never a virtual blueprint. You write it out, and then from there, you have copies of it. People have it inscribed on metal plates. I know people who memorized their 24-word recovery phrase and threw it away. And no, it doesn't exist other than their head. People can inscribe it on metal fireproof plates, put in a safe deposit box, put it in their safe. Then if someone steals your device, your Trezor, your Ledger, who cares? They can steal it. They'll never be able to open it up. They'll never be able to do anything. If it's stolen, you just basically go online, right? You buy a new one, and then you put in your 24-word recovery phrase. Now only you have access to it, because they're impenetrable. They can't break them open. They can't hack them. They're unhackable. As far as we know, based on the technology we have today, they've never been hacked. As far as I think they talk about them, but yeah, so these things are super cool. Now they're going to offer you the strange feature, which is you pay us a monthly feature and we'll back up your codes. Don't do it. What are you talking about? Now they're going to have your codes backed up somewhere. It just it is really crazy when I see this stuff. It's like, no, people take photos of what you're saying. People are trading on, anyways. Don't give me about security.
Just on that,
Awesome.
this is another kind of, it's different, but it's really the same thing. I remember a guy telling me, uh, like he had a I forget the name of it, but there's a domain that backs up all your passwords. And I just thought, no way would I do that. And I got hacked. So,
Oh,
like, yeah. So, like, I never trust my passwords on the cloud. Like, never. So,
yeah,
as you said, I know
yeah,
people, they've engraved it, and they've dug it in the ground, or they have a buddy that they can
yeah.
100% trust with each
Yeah,
other. Just if
my
something
wife
happens.
has a phone number to my best friend who's in crypto. One of my best friends who's in crypto, and he's the guy. If something, God forbid, happens to me, he'll have to come down to where I live, and I've got a whole thing set up for him where he'll find all my assets. It's yeah, it's sad to think about, but I mean, if you're investing and your investment today is whatever, and we know it's going to be worth in 5 or 10 years hundreds or millions of dollars, and then you're the only person that can access it, and something happens to you, that money is gone. Like, it just sits there forever. So no, there should be a morbid, if break glass in case of emergency plan, right?
When
And no
you
one
said
likes to
about
talk
people
about.
memorizing it, like the
Yeah.
amount of people getting Alzheimer's these days, it's like, oh, I remember 23 of the words, but not the last one. It's the
Like a
guy.
goldfish. I'm like a goldfish. I have no memory. I do not trust myself. I'm like those movies where the people don't have amnesia and they're writing everything on the walls and their arms and they're like, my name is, right. And that's pretty much me. And I do it in the secure fashion, but I trust myself. I don't trust my memory. But yeah, no security. Listen, for your listeners, if you're going to trade, if you're going to open up crypto, on your phone, you're going to put something called 2FAS, which is a two-factor authorization. There's many different ones. I use something called 2FAS. That's it. You're not going to open up an account on your phone. Everything else you do on a computer. You separate your phone and your computer. If you're going to open up a centralized exchange, there's multiple levels of security. Make sure you lock it down to the highest level of security. It's not hard to do, but it's easy when I can instruct you. But there are things you can do to prevent yourself. You don't trade on your phone. Phones are easily compromised. You take them with you all the time. So they're out everywhere connected to Wi-Fi. Don't trade on your phone. Don't trade. Just trade on your computer. And this is the whole thing. You're investing. You don't need to be on your phone while you're investing. Or sorry, I say trade and investing almost interchangeably, but they're different things. Trading is something people do every day and they have to be glued to something. We're not trading, we're investing. You don't have to be on your phone. You don't need it on your phone. You just do it at home at night. There's no rush when you invest because it's not a time sensitive manner. We're investing for the bull run. But just for basic security, keep it your exchanges on your computer. Keep your secure your 2FA whatever only on your
Just
phone, and it's going to give you a bit of
that
separation.
authenticator that you're talking is that an app in itself then are you logging in that because I know
Yes.
with the reason why this and I've told a few people and they kind of didn't think it could happen, but I'm exposing a lot of stuff, corruption and stuff like that, and I got channels just whipped off. My crypto channel disappeared for a year, came back, but my Gmail went down for about 3 days, and I eventually got it back. But I couldn't log into my authenticator.
Right, because you're using a Google Authenticator.
Yeah, so that's why
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know it.
When I dug into authenticators, I didn't want to get too deep. If somebody loses their phone and they can't get in, the authenticator app I use is not a Google one. I don't get into too much detail because this gets highly technical, but the authenticator I have will have its own keyword recovery phrase. So if I lose my phone, they can't get into it because it's a password protected app within my phone, right? So they'll need my password and a password to get into it. And even if they do, and they have my authenticator, you need to have everything else. And even if they do, you still have security within the exchange. So I have, email, I have text, I have 2FA, and then within the exchange, there's funding passwords. There's so many ways to lock it down, right? To do things. And it's not hard. It's just you don't know what you don't know. That's the thing about security. You don't know what you don't know. It's like a house alarm. When people get a house alarm is after they get robbed. And after they get robbed, they go, oh, I'm going to install security cameras. I'm going to install this and that. It's like, how about this? Let's not get robbed in the first place. Because when you get robbed, it sucks. It happened to me and it took the life out of me. I almost didn't want to invest in crypto anymore. I wanted to stop. And I had to dig deep because it hurt so bad. I felt so violated. And it's an online wallet. It's an online wallet. I felt violated, and it was horrifying. And it's that easy for them to get you. So you want to separate your phone to have a 2FA on your phone app, and then everything on your computer. But within all that, there's so many levels of security, but you don't know what you don't know. And that's the thing about crypto. How do you know? How did you know you're not supposed to have an exchange on your phone? Well, you can, but I just thought to practice. How do you know you're supposed to have different levels of security in your centralized exchange to prevent people, even if they steal your phone? They steal your email, they steal your text, they steal your 2FA, and they get into your exchange. There's still ways of preventing them from taking money off your exchange. But you don't know what you don't know. And that's the whole thing about crypto. It's a learning in progress. And you can learn this. Spend 3, 4, 5 years learning crypto or spend a week with me and go right to the front of the line and learn it safely and securely and take the mistakes I've made to benefit you, or forget me, find someone else. I don't know who else is doing it in the world like I do it, but there's I believe there are other good people in the space, but I really, really, really do. am passionate about education, passionate about supporting people, and I'm passionate about crypto, and success. Roy knows. I like winning, and I like the people I work with to win. But yeah, it's just security. Listen, the fraud stuff you do, Roy, let me ask you a question. How does it mess with your head? Do you feel paranoid at times? Do you feel like more
Honestly, every time I do a transfer or log in, I go into panic mode, and I will always do a small transfer first because I'm just like, I'm not risking this. And it's sad that you do that. You will never do that with a bank transfer. You just know it's grand or it's safe, and if there's something wrong, and it usually tells you the bank and everything. And so that's the way it is. I'm just
yeah,
consciously conscious of it. And I haven't been fraudulently like a lot of people. I mean, one guy that was on, he was a friend of mine, 500,000 was taken from him. And another guy that came on, 100,000, and like I just hear loads of stories, and it's not just that. It's like the phoning scams, and even Revolut, like the online banking. There's people ringing up people, and they're asking them, saying they're from Revolut, and people are giving them that, and then they're just emptying their account, and then they're blaming Revolut. It's like Revolut actually tell you we will never ring you, but
people don't listen.
they don't, unfortunately, they go into panic, and they're so professional. So when they're doing it, they're I've had people ringing me up pretending for crypto fraud. I know. And I kind of just put it in such a way that it plays on their brain. I won't say what I say, but I do it in a nice way. But I'm making sure that they go away having a deep thought. Put it that way.
Oh, what about with the deep fakes? Let's just take it there, right? So right now, you know about the schemes where they call old people and they just call random old people and say, your grandson's in trouble. He's going to need you to send this. We're holding him here. We're holding, and it's like so many old people fall for it. My sister and two of my nieces work at banks. Sorry, I'm going to talk about two different scams. And at the banks, they target mostly elderly, and they say, listen, you're gonna, we're gonna whatever. We're gonna make sure you're gonna make a bunch of money. All you gotta do is send us a little bit of money. That's the premise, whatever, however they sugarcoat it. And they coach them when they go to bank what to say and what not to say. So they coach them how to go to the bank and lie to the bank to send the money. And then these poor people show up every day. Hey, can you check my account? There should be like $1 million in it. And after a few days, they're like, tell me what happened. Well, like this or that, or the other one is your nephew's in trouble, whatever. So this is for us, it's like, oh, listen, they're old, they're gonna fall for it. What about when they have a video and an audio of somebody speaking and they send you a video? It's a deep fake. It looks just like them, it sounds just like them. What if they have their voice and they're talking just like your nephew or whatever? Yeah, sorry, I lost my phone. This is that. Can you send me $200? I'm stuck here in XYZ. It sounds just like them. So we can replicate a voice and even videos, and the technology is getting crazy
And I
to
tell
do
you
that.
how good it is. I was looking at doing this podcast in Spanish because I've got so many podcasts, and a lot of them are kind of the top of the charts. People reach out to me with beta testing and everything. And somebody converted it to Spanish with my voice and the guest voice. So it would be like us. And I sent it on. I said, maybe not by looking at it. I sent it on to somebody with just the audio. That's Spanish. And I said, look, my Spanish, I don't know, is it good enough for people to listen to my, and they fell for it. One copped it, but the other fell for it. So that's the level. And what you're talking about, I've actually told my mother, if anyone ever rings, it could look like me, it could sound like me, but we've got a keyword that they will never know. And I said, always ask that, and then we're safe. Because
Yeah. Isn't that,
I could say, I'm in prison, they're gonna, you have to send the money. And it's
yeah.
unfortunately, people, like I've heard of loads, and they just happen to pick up the phone and they're going, no, I'm actually down at the diner or something like that. Like in there, but within seconds
But
they
what
panic.
you can't just, like, most people, the general population is not going to be suspicious. If I hear my wife call me and say, I need XYZ. Hey, it's like, oh, my wife called. She needs this. She's at the store. She's at this. The visa didn't work. There's whatever it is. The bank, she's like, yes, listen, I'm on the line with the bank. There's a three-way here. Can you, whatever? Yes, it's Rose from, whatever Bank of Canada, right? With your wife, we're having an issue. Can you take a look at her account? I'd pull it up. Well, what's the account number? What's this? Could you? I would never think to be like, but and it's only going to get worse and crazy. And it's anywhere there's, anyways, it's a sad state of the world, but it's a real state. So what I was asking you is that paranoia. See, when I got into crypto, I was so people are too worried. People are too, oh, you're like some conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're worried everyone's out to rob you. I tell you, I got into crypto and it didn't take long. So I was like terrified to put I got so messed. So I had to pull back and I tell everybody, let's aim for normal, right? Let's aim for the middle. We need to be aware. We need to be smart, but we can't be overly paranoid or we can't function and aim for the middle. And I like what you said too. I tell my clients this: if in doubt, test it out. If you're not sure what you're doing, send $20. See what happens. It gets there, send the rest. If in doubt, test it out. You don't need to prove to anybody that you can figure everything out. Just if you're in doubt, test it out. Give it a shot. See how it goes. So it's a definitely a different landscape. And I believe crypto, everything's amplified in crypto. I believe returns are amplified in crypto. Therein, risk must be amplified in crypto. And anything where things are amplified, the good is amplified and the bad is amplified. You know, that's the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And that's kind of like getting in. It's like, how do we enter that world as safely and securely as possible? Right. And by being aware as possible. And your show, that one about like frauds and stuff like that, that's just, I mean, we need stuff like that because this is the world that we live in, and I hate it. But it's true. I'm sometimes when I travel, Roy, I'm afraid to make friends. I don't know. I don't know if this person is legitimate or maybe, because I'm a bit, maybe a little bit more in public. I have a bit of a social media profile. I have this. I'm known to be in, certain spaces. So to me, it's sometimes like I don't even like I shy away. It's horrible. Or I don't talk about what I do. Or like I completely like it's such a weird feeling, but it's where we're at, right?
But what
Yeah.
I love, Daniel, is that one, you're simplifying it, you're explaining everything. So even when we touch on stuff, you never take it for granted that the listener knows exactly, even just the wallets, whatever, you're actually explaining it, which understanding it's like driving the car. It's like you're panicking, clutch, brake, whatever, look in the mirror, and you're just telling them, okay, step by step, once you've got these things, you're good to go, and then you just follow. So I think they're in safe hands, and I love the way that you actually explained it. So, like, I mean, we've had a lot of conversation, and I'm definitely getting you back. I mean, maybe in February after that gaming thing, that
Yeah.
to know what's going on there.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
Yeah. I remember when we talked the first time, whatever's happened since then has been really bullish, really positive. And I'm not afraid to throw and who knows now what the world will look like in February. That's the thing about crypto is it's just the fastest moving thing. But 3 months in crypto is 30 years in real life. So that's how fast it happens. So 6 weeks from now in February or whatever, 7 weeks, it might as well be 5 years from now in crypto in terms of like all the things that are going to happen. It's exciting. I enjoy it, but I also love talking to you, and I love sharing my journey and my knowledge and my experiences with your listeners, hopefully for their benefit. Hopefully people got value out of it. If people want to get a hold of me, just reach out. I'm in Canada, so my website's .ca, Daniel at emcdental.ca. Easy peasy. I think Roy puts my credentials somewhere around here. Let's just
we
reach
got
out.
the audio and the video. Yep.
I'd be like, I heard you on Roy, and I got a question. Well, let's see if I can help. It'd be fun. Anyways, I do have some good clients in the UK. Most people are UK, America, States, and Australia. But I've got people from all over, some crazy, crazy Kosovo, Philippines. I don't know where else in Asia, but all over different places. But I love everybody, and I love meeting new people. And I'm sure your listeners, anybody who dialed me up from the show would be great too. Would be a pleasure to meet and to chat with. Excuse me, and to chat with.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll make sure I put the thing. I look forward to getting you back in a few months' time. And yeah, I just encourage people to reach out, check you out, because I know that you know, you're not even forcing stuff. You love the chat, and even if it's not a match, you're cool with that as well. And you're of course, you're not one of these. Just like and why I'm saying that is I've worked with a few people and I've partnered with someone, and they do slimy tactics to get them in, and I know that's not your style, and you know, so it's very important because you know what it's like, because you're like me, you've lost it, you've been tricked and everything, and it's giving value, and if people are there, that's 100% ideal.
I am so not salesy. People are like, is this sales call? I'm like, no, this is the last thing. I actually vet people because there's a lot of people I don't want to work with, and I'll only work with people I like. It's like, it's not a sales call. I'm just going to tell you what I think, what I do. And if you like me, great. You want to rock and roll, great. But if not, that's great. And unfortunately, if I don't like you, we're not going to do this either. Not you, literally right, but it was people in general, because like life is too short. Life weekends, crazy. Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see. I wish we had that type of connection. We will though someday. Someday we'll get there. Thank you, man. Thank you. I so appreciate you and all your listeners. And if they stayed in this long, kudos for you. It means that, you know, Roy and I did a good job if you listen to this point.
Oh, perfect. Thanks very much, Daniel. So that's all for the Crypto Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on the Crypto Podcast, or be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and share with your friends. It really helps. And make sure you comment on what we discussed. I read all the comments. Until next week, take care. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As mentioned at the start, you can find my 6 podcasts on roycollin.com, or scan the QR code if you're looking to start a podcast or do a podcasting tour, help with that. Also, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, we also have that service. And you can help the show by visiting the store, supporting our sponsors, or making a donation. Until next week, take care.